Hey everyone, welcome to the PriceLabs Market Dashboards webinar. I'll be your host. I'm David. I'm a solutions consultant here at PriceLabs. I help people get onboarded with the tool and up and running. Today we're going to cover market dashboards, how to create them, and everything in between. Before we jump into that, I just want to cover some housekeeping items. This portion of the webinar is pre-recorded, so I'll just be talking and showing things the entire time on my screen. But we do have a member of the PriceLabs team monitoring questions live, so use that questions area at the bottom and get those answers. We'll also save some time at the end to answer any questions live at that point. So let's jump into it. So what are market dashboards? They're personalized dashboards that provide vacation rental data from around the world. People use them to easily identify trends, maybe scout out popular amenities in the area, understand your competitors' pricing, and even use it for investment opportunities or analyzing those investment opportunities. You can see some of our pricing or costs for using the market dashboards. These are a separate tool. Everybody does start out with one credit. What that gets you is one of those $9.99 dashboards. So sometimes the question then comes up is, well, what are your data sources? Where is your market data coming from? We are scraping public data. What that means is our data science team is able to scrape publicly available information from Airbnb and Vrbo more efficiently than you or I could just by clicking around and checking calendars. Essentially, what we're doing is checking every single Airbnb or Vrbo listing worldwide, checking their rates, their availability, and since we do it every day, we can determine if rates have changed. If a property was available last time we scraped and now it isn't for certain dates, then we make assumptions based on that. So just keep that in mind when you're using scrape data. It's best to have a larger sample size. Obviously, any of these market dashboards, 1,000 listings and so forth, plus is going to be significant or sufficient for that sample size. All right, so I've got my demo account pulled up here. The way you navigate over to the market dashboard area is you click on this market research icon, drop down, and then click market dashboards. Mine will look a little different when it loads than yours, especially if you're just starting out, because I already have some dashboards created. Yours will look something similar to this screenshot. So you could either click this add new dashboard here or add new dashboard in the top right. Once you click that button, you'll start getting a walkthrough, and you can type in just like a city name. If you have a specific address you want to look up, you have those different options. So I'm going to just pick San Diego because it has a couple of good examples. And if you choose a city that is either like large enough, or we have built a what we call ready to view market dashboard, it'll have that option here at the top. If you type in an area and it does not have that, no worries, you can customize and create your own. I'm going to walk you through both. So let's just assume you want to do this ready to view market dashboard. You can click on this. It's going to show you the whole region or the area that we're picking. In this case, it's just the San Diego city limit. It's telling you there are 11,297 active listings, and it's going to tell you if you want to do this large, pre-built, ready to view market dashboard, the cost associated with it down here. You can kind of move this map around, zoom in, zoom out. Scroll bar will also work for zooming. Assuming this is what you want and this is your main market, just keep in mind you can do a large market dashboard like this, and maybe you have properties in like the Mission Beach area, the La Jolla area. You can create this market dashboard and then segment your areas using comp sets. So you don't need to create like a separate market dashboard just for La Jolla or just for Mission Beach. You can create one big dashboard that'll cover the majority or all of your region if it's, if you're in a certain market, and then fine tune or filter out listings based on comp set or smaller geographical areas later. Okay, if I click continue, It's going to ask me for the name, and then the currency that I want things displayed in. Again, it's going to remind you, hey, this is how much it is. If you have any credits, in my demo account I've got 19 apparently, but it'll show you how many of the credits are being used toward it. And then you click Create Market Dashboard, and it'll start generating that dashboard. I'm going to back up a little bit, and let's say I looked at this. The reason I brought this up is for whatever reason this market dashboard does not include Coronado. It's probably a different city, right? So there are lots of listings in Coronado and Silver Strand and this whole area down here that I know of. So, and maybe I don't need to be so far inland as that report was showing. So I can click on the option down below to create a custom report. And here along the top, it's going to show you, hey, if we just start from this central location, this is what 1,000 listings looks like. I can kind of zoom out. 5,000 listings. It'll, populate that for me. 1,000. And then from here, I can say, all right, that's great. I've got my Coronado area. Maybe my main markets are just kind of Mission Beach down through here and Coronado, maybe down here as well. So I can now say I want to select a custom area. And I can either use a circle tool. So the circle tool, think of where the little cross section is. That's going to be the starting point of your circle. So if I start there and zoom, kind of click and drag out, it'll pick that area. Okay. If that works for you, great. If you don't like that one, whatever listing count you've pulled in inside that circle, it's going to give you an update of, hey, that's going to cost this much per month. The other option that I personally like a lot is our polygon tool. So I'm going to say, I'm going to stay west of I-5 right here and just try to get a lot of these listings. So the polygon, think of click, release to draw the kind of corners or spots on your polygon. So click, release, right? So I'm going to kind of follow that west side of that I-15 or I-5, sorry. Okay, and then I want to get my Coronado, and I guess there's one down there, and then to kind of end it, you just go back to the starting point, click close, and now I've got this kind of specific shape of my market that I want to look at for market dashboard research. Let's say you got that shape right, but it's just maybe off a little bit. You can click on it, and then from here I could say, actually, I need to move it that way a little bit, right? So just kind of trying to cover the different ways you can use these shape tools. Okay, and then once you get here, again, you'll give it a name. I'll just put San Diego, and I want it in US dollars, and it's going to tell me, hey, this is going to be $19.99 per month, and it's going to break down if you've got your free credit, it'll discount your first month for you. Okay. After you click Create Market Dashboard, it is going to take some time to generate. So you'll get this little message that it's creating, and it takes some time. We'll email you when it's ready. So while we're waiting for this to load, I'm going to, so let me pull this part of our slide deck back up. These are kind of the most commonly used key performance indicators or metrics in the vacation rental, revenue management space, right? So ADR stands for average daily rate of booked nights. Okay, so the number of booked nights that you have, add up all the revenue for those nightly rates, and then divide it by the number of nights booked. That gets you your average daily rate. Okay, so a good indicator of how your performance is doing on a nightly basis, how much average daily rate you're bringing in, right? Occupancy. Most people kind of grasp this. If you've got a 30-night month and you have 15 out of those 30 nights booked, you're at 50% occupancy, right? So it's the percentage of nights booked out of the total nights in a time frame. RevPAR stands for revenue per available room, as borrowed by the hotel industry. We kind of changed it to revenue per available rental. You also will see it as RevPAN, revenue per available night. The math formula, as you see there, is simply you multiply ADR by your occupancy. This is powerful because it balances the two. You could have really great occupancy, but your rates you're charging each night are super low, $5. So your effective nightly revenue is going to be really low. Okay. Uh, Booking window. This is how far in advance people are booking their stays. It's also called lead time. If I'm booking your property and my check-in today and my check-in day is let's say 22 days from now, that's a 22-day booking window for that one, right? But we average those out and give you an average booking window. LOS stands for length of stay. It's the number of nights booked for reservations in that market. So going back to my example, if I book your property 22 days from now, I check in and I'm staying for 4 nights, that's a 4-night length of stay. Great. And then pacing is really kind of how you talk about these numbers in comparison with each other. It's not necessarily a metric in and of itself, but you can say, hey, this year my occupancy is pacing ahead of where it was last year at this same time. Or, hey, my ADR is pacing behind the market. It's lower than the market. What can I do to increase that? Okay, let's check back here and see if your market dashboard has loaded. If it has, you'll be able to click Show Dashboard here, and then just follow along. If it hasn't, try refreshing your browser, see if that works. The bigger the market dashboard, the longer it will take to load. It is a lot of data, so just do keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to pull up that Vancouver, Canada one that I had already pulled up previously. So in the top left, you'll see like view comp set. Right now it's Airbnb whole market. We have Airbnb and Vrbo data. So if you're in more of a Vrbo market, you might want to switch it to Vrbo. But most places people have their listings on both, so the data should be pretty similar across the board. This is also where you will find comp sets. We have a few pre-built examples. I will show you how to build your own comp sets later, but whatever is selected here and applied, it will then display data for that. So right now we're displaying data for the whole market. That's just how it loads by default. There are some quick filters up here. So if you just wanted to see, hey, quick and dirty, whole market, but I want to filter it down by maybe instead of room to 8 bedrooms, I want to do like 1 to 4 bedrooms. As soon as I click apply filter, you'll notice that this data will change. And also, I'm going to scroll down a little bit if my mouse will cooperate. The data presented in these charts will also change. So we'll do that now. And it might take a second to load, but now the numbers have been updated specific to show data for 1 to 4 bedroom ranges. So this is just showing quick at a glance information. Right now it's the last 365 days comparing with the previous 365 days. So when this is showing that there is 51,000 estimated revenue and it's down 1.5K from the previous 365 days, that's what the red or green number is indicating, is compared with the year before. How has this metric changed? So, RevPAR has gone up a couple dollars there, occupancy down a little bit, right? I wouldn't get too caught up on these trends up here, but it's just kind of high level information. Cool things we have built into the tool are just AI insights. You can click that button anywhere and it's going to give you just kind of written out sentence explanations of that section. So kind of some of the things I already talked about. Considerable change is observed in KPIs, median booking window, and you can kind of look at the booking window. Okay, it's changed. But this will help explain some of the metrics up here. So if you see that AI Insights button, feel free to click on it, explore it, and get used to it. So then on the left side, It's going to give me just some high level information, the radius when it was last refreshed, the currency that we're in, source, what's currently selected, and then I can jump to different parts of the report here as well. This area will show you the exact map of all the listings we're pulling in. I will come back to this in a little more detail when we talk about comp sets, but all of these dots are listings from, in this case, Airbnb that fall into my 1 to 4 bedroom filter that I applied up here. Okay. If I were to change this back, which I'll do now, to just showing the whole market, we would see this, change, right, to showing more dots. All right, so I'll kind of zoom back in. Probably hard to tell, but more dots now. What's kind of cool about this is each of these dots will take you, if you click on it, it'll take you to their live, Airbnb page. You can kind of scout it out a little bit if you want. If you're watching this and this is your property, shout out to you. All right. So that's kind of the map. Again, I'll come back to it in a little more detail later. This is the area where you can create comp sets. Don't worry about it yet. We'll come back to it. So as far as doing a top to bottom overview of our reports, we do show market summary data by month for these metrics. So it's the last 2 years of data, average revenue, RevPAR, ADR, occupancy, median booking window, and median length of stay. Okay, so you can observe trends, year over year trends, right? Anytime you see this button with the 3 dots, go ahead and click on it. This one, you can download the CSV data. So there are lots of options to download the data if you want to do some further analysis in Excel. This is probably going to make it a little messy, but I'm going to show you just bedroom category. Yeah, it gets real. Anyway, we're breaking it down by bedroom. So any report in PriceLabs, if you wanted to kind of zoom in on something, if you hover on the report, that little crosshairs, click and drag, and then you can kind of zoom in. So now I can see, hey, April 2024, room to studio estimated average revenue was 1706. One bedrooms 3,254, right? And then to zoom back out, you just double click. So again, if you're kind of filtering this based on bedroom count or whatever, then you don't necessarily need to do this, but just wanted to show you that option. I'm going to change it back just to kind of be able to see. So here, obviously looks like it's more of a summer heavy market. July is the peak month. It was the peak month the last couple of years, maybe down this year compared to the previous year. So just something to keep in mind, right? Occupancy levels, similar to last year. Again, don't get so caught up on the exact numbers, but you want to be able to notice trends, right? So, yeah, let's see. Or maybe things that might look out of the ordinary. This December did a lot better than last December, right? So you might kind of want to look into, what was that? It looks like the ADR was a lot higher than it was last December. Let's see, occupancy 61 the year before. A little bit up on occupancy, but definitely higher on ADR. So getting as a higher revenue number and RevPAR number. Okay. Median booking window. So for stays that occurred during the month, like July here, for example, July 1st, 2024, this is saying 52. So the median booking windows, people were booking like 52 days in advance for their stays that occurred during the month of July. Okay, that's how you'd read that. Median length of stay, man, super consistent. I guess January 2024 was a little longer, but people were on average stay in this market three nights, right? Some are longer, some are shorter, but that's the median. I guess I kind of used average there, but median length of stay for the market. So you can expect a lot of 3-night stays. You're going to get a little summary breakdown here. by bedroom size, active listings and so forth. Right, I'm not going to go through all these metrics. I will point out, anytime you see like something that looks like you can click on it, go ahead. You're not going to break anything. Explore the things that are displaying. Supply and demand. This is kind of a good one to see, or maybe you're curious about opening up in a new market and you want to see how saturated it is potentially. We're looking at, again, the last 2 years monthly total booked nights, and this just kind of looks like seasonal trends. What you don't want to see is these total booked nights trending down while active listings is trending up, because um, you know even though here it's steadily trending up the number of active listings, these trends look to be staying, I think it's kind of going up a little higher each year, so people are still interested in traveling to that area. Also, if you do see this side going up, just get involved with your local municipalities or whatever, because if there aren't regulations yet, they might be coming, and you just want to make sure you've got putting your best foot forward with those things. Um, I'll click these 3 lines again. I can view this weekly if I really wanted to. I could also see demand in a different way, which is average bookings per listing as opposed to total booked nights. So if I switch it over to that, what this is saying is, hey, I'm going to change this to weekly. Why not? So I'll try to find that one right there. All right. So the week of May 9th through the 15th of 2024, the average, basically the average booking was 1.24. So you were likely to have at least one booking, maybe more than one booking that week. Okay, so average booking per listing. It doesn't mean that everybody got a booking that week, but the likelihood of you getting at least one booking and maybe two were pretty good. Whereas like maybe here, where it's like half, 0.52. Like if you got a booking that week, awesome. You may not have got a booking that week, right? So similar to kind of what I was saying before, kind of seasonal trends. But if you see this kind of trending downward, that could be a red flag. You obviously would like to have as many average bookings per listing per week as possible, right? So, but total book nights is a little easier to kind of wrap your head around. But if you like the average bookings per listing, you have that option there as well. Okay, we do have a little blurb here just showing just key future dates. When you sign up for a market dashboard, we do send out weekly emails just letting you know of certain things going on. This one is our future occupancy, bookings, cancellations, this kind of occupancy related data. So the default view is it shows as of today in the market. The red line is today looking into the future. So current occupancy on the books. And then the dotted line is basically last year today. So same thing, same concept, but a year ago. Okay. So you can compare, hey, this year I'm let's kind of hover on a date. On February 16th, the market occupancy is sitting at 30% as of right now. And at the same time last year, it was at 42%. So remember that KPI slide I had? We are pacing behind last year. And you could even go as far as saying we're pacing behind about 12% in occupancy compared to the same time last year. Looks like it's kind of pacing behind most of the near future, and then it kind of evens out up here. And wow, like July 4th, that time frame is really getting a lot of attention. And let's see, it's showing up here. Hey, 14% increase, and that's kind of where it's getting the data. We can add in other things. Before I do, I just want to show you, there's a couple other charts that have kind of a gray band down here. That just means we're showing you like current and future data. And if you want to pull it back, you just go like that. And you can get an idea of where last year ended up. Okay, so the red line would be like the final number last year at this time. Okay, and we could go really far if we wanted to see like 2023 to 2024 trends. I'm going to try to get it sort of back to where we are, somewhere around there. Let's down here, any of our charts where it has these legends, they are interactive. So if I select occupancy, it's just going to show last year's occupancy, right? So you can hide or unhide by clicking on them. Pickup, I probably didn't go far enough. Sorry. I don't know where our data is exactly. Yeah, we should be. I'm recording this on the 24th, so I'll try to make a mental note of where to slide that. Doesn't matter too much. I'm just being a little particular. So got it close enough. The dotted line is showing a pickup and it says 30 days. So pickup is a metric where we're saying, hey, in the last whatever number of days we select, there could be a 7-day market pickup, a 14, a 30. In this particular case, in the last 30 days, we want to see the pickup in occupancy. Where did those dates come up? So February 2nd, it says there was an 18.1% pickup in the last 30 days. So of that 33% occupancy on the books for this year, 18% came within the last 30 days. So it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of like booking window, booking velocity, and booking behavior. Cancellations, if you enable that, then you can kind of see when the most cancellations are happening. And then occupancy last year final will give a new dotted line up on the top here, and that's that final occupancy. If you notice, we match up day of week. So if it was like last year was a Sunday, July 7th, this year Sunday happens to be on July 6th. So we kind of shift those around, but that's because most of the trends follow kind of day of week things. Okay. And then, yeah. From here, you could download it. You could, look at bookings made in the last whatever days. You can change date ranges here or use that little slider guy. Okay. Wonderful. Future prices, pretty similar in look and setup to the occupancy chart above in the sense that we've got this slider so we can slide it back. This is just showing percentiles or ranges of what people in the market are asking. That bottom gray area starts at the 25th percentile and goes up to the 50th. As you can see outlined here, 50th to 75th will be the middle pink, and then light pink at the top, 75th to 90th. Okay, so basically it's just giving you an idea of ranges. What I like to do is click the 3 lines and add in median booked price. And any future date that has at least 5 bookings, we can give you a median booked price. So, maybe we want to kind of get a better idea of the near future. I can kind of zoom in on it. And I can see, hey, this is where, even though people might be asking more, maybe down in March, maybe I'm feeling a little behind. The median booked price is 161, and maybe I'm asking like 175 right now. Maybe I can bump my rate down a little bit and be a little more in line with that median booked price and see if I can get some occupancy, somebody to book that. What a lot of people will do is a lot of times we're very optimistic about our future rates, right? So we're either holding rates kind of high, but if you want to see the final numbers, historical numbers, you can drag this back, and my screen is struggling. Sorry about that, but I can go back in history and I can see, November 2023 rates, July, right, 2024, and see like what is kind of realistic. And, we'll probably get a little more than we got last year, hopefully. But you can see these historical numbers are going to be a little more in line with the actuals that happened rather than, hey, our pie in the sky, let's see if we can get higher rates farther out in the future. All right, so that's future prices and my tips and tricks on that. Day of week occupancy, day of week price factor. Um, this one's pretty self-explanatory, but we're just basically breaking down the day of week and giving you some averages. Obviously, you can kind of click on this and see, oh, let's look at the last 30 days instead of the last 360. Usually, weekends are going to be getting higher price than weekdays, and higher occupancy. So there you have it. All right, length of stay and booking window trends. This one is what I affectionately call the mountain on fire chart because that's what it looks like to me. So right now it's showing future, right? And it's showing length of stays. And those colors are indicating, as you can see on the legend up here, those certain lengths of stays. Red being a 1 day, a lighter red 2 day, right? If you hover on any day, it'll give you the exact breakdown. So there are 33 1 day stays nights, 97 2 day stay nights, okay, and so forth. Again, if you're like, well, I'm not necessarily focused on 29 plus, I just kind of want to hide that, you can. And this again is forward looking. If I scroll this back, I can get an idea of historical length of stays. All right, so I pulled this back to kind of give me, January, basically last year. And I'm going to kind of cut this off a little bit so I can focus on 2024. What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of looking at any times where maybe the length of stay is longer, and it might make sense for me with my minimum stay strategy if I'm setting that up in PriceLabs to, for example, in the summer, it's consistently like 3 to 4 day stays, and we already knew like the median stay length is 3 to 4 days. But in the summer, 3 to 4 days is pretty strong. Maybe I'm requiring a 4 night minimum farther out in the future. I can have that automatically drop as the dates get closer, right? But I can have confidence in seeing this that, hey, I can confidently set my minimum stay to 3 nights. Maybe I drop it lower as the date gets closer. Maybe other key events or holidays, like around the Christmas time, for example, we want to make sure we've got like a 3 night minimum going. This potentially could be a good market for 30 plus nights as well. So maybe consider adding a monthly discount if you're open to having longer stays, right? I look at some of these charts and that 29 plus is just very small. Uh, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad market for the 30 night plus stays, but it's something to consider. Again, you got this. You can change date ranges, say bookings made whenever, and you have the CSV download option. So now we're going to talk about length of stay versus booking window. Hope you're staying with me. I know this is very data heavy. I'll try to make sure this one makes sense. But here we're looking at, on the left is just booking window by booked nights, and then length of stay by booked nights. So just kind of look at overall trends. We're seeing a big bump in that 1 to 2 month, 2 to 4 month time frame. Simply just look at some of the biggest bars. And just start noticing things. Yours, obviously, if you're following along on your market dashboard, it'll look different than this. But going off this example, let's say, okay, I will back up and say this is for bookings made in the last 30 days. Okay. And yeah, so bookings made in the last 30 days, I can show 14 or 7 as well. I'll come back to this in a moment. But it's right here, it's simply saying, hey, a lot of people are booking 1 to 2 months in advance and 2 to 4 months in advance. And then this is showing your length of stay breakdown. The majority of people are staying 3 to 4 days. We also have a decent number, 7 to 14, 29 plus. Okay. Not a ton 1 day, but you could still have it as part of your strategy if you want. This is booked nights. So one thing I will say is over here where it's saying, okay, go away. 29 plus days. and there were like 10,000. If somebody stays 29 days, then it's 29 out of that 10,000. If you want to just see, instead of booked nights, you want to see bookings, you can change it to show bookings. So now that number, that dropped quite a bit because there were 274 bookings made that were stay lengths 29 days or longer. Okay. So some people like bookings, some people like booked nights. Um, I I personally like bookings, and then I like having bookings by length of stay and booking window. So what this does is it overlays the two charts. So in my previous example, we were talking about, 1 to 2 months, 2 to 4 months. That's great. I know that people are booking that far in advance. When they are booking that far in advance, what is their, what's the most commonly booked stay length? In this case, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but there are 905 bookings made for 3 to 4 day stay lengths. Okay. And that 3 to 4 days pretty strong throughout until probably about once we get within 2 weeks, it starts to shift, right? And now it's, hey, people that are kind of coming last minute, they're booking 2 days, maybe 1 day, and then interestingly enough, um, if they're booking same day or next day, it's 2 days is kind of that the bulk of it, right? So it just gives you a breakdown of the length of stay for that booking window time frame. So 1 to 2 months, there's the breakdown. On the flip side, here's our 3 to 4 day stay. It's actually a pretty good spread, but I would say a lot of them are 1 to 2 months, 2 to 4 months, 4 to 6 months, right, is where a big bulk of that is coming in. So this can help you decide like maybe how you want to set up your minimum stay strategy. If you're using PriceLabs, you can kind of cascade that minimum down. Maybe you'll hold a 3 night minimum until you get within 2 weeks. And then at that point, or maybe it's within a month, right? Like you decide based on your strategy and what the data is telling you. But if this was my market, maybe I'd start dropping the 2 night minimum requirement within a month or so. All right, this section is about amenities. So we display common amenities. You might look at this and say, I hope everybody has a smoke alarm, and I do too. Most people have kitchens, things like that. Not everybody. Wi-Fi. You might look at this and think, some of these are pretty basic. What that could mean is you're in a market. These are just those check boxes, right? As you're setting up your Airbnb listing, you're in a market with a lot of good hosts, and they're just making sure all of their boxes are checked. Okay. There might be some other ones on here that are interesting to you. But what we're showing here, if you hover on the lines, is we're showing the percent of listings that have it, or at least have it marked, versus the percentage of bookings that were made that had that amenity. So if that lighter pink line is longer, it's indicating there's more interest in that amenity than what is currently being offered, or at least marketed by having that box checked on there. So a reminder to make sure you've got all of your amenities checked on your Airbnb listings. You can kind of go through and just see some of these that I'm assuming people just did not check the boxes on. And then this chart down below will actually just take kind of whatever amenity options have the biggest difference between that pink and red line, indicating a desired amenity, and it'll list them here in order. So self check-in, very it's popular. Like there's a 17.4% difference in the people that at least have it advertised or available, and the number of bookings that are booked for that amenity. Again, some of these, at least on my example I have here, should be pretty basic things. Just either make sure you're providing those or that you have that box checked. So these two charts work together with this option that I'm about to show you here. You can filter. Some people will say, hey, I'm considering adding a hot tub, right? And I haven't done this beforehand, so we'll see how hot tubs do in Vancouver. So we'll give it a second to load. And interestingly enough, it's kind of loading now, but you can see, well, I guess I scrolled up too far. Sorry about that. You can see there are, about 7% of the listings advertise or have a hot tub, and only 3.4% of the bookings had that. Now, again, this can change seasonally as well. If you see up here in the description, this is for the last 30 days. I'm filming this in January, so I don't imagine a whole lot of people like looking to book, hot tubs in right now for this particular market. Okay, so maybe check it again in your summer months. Other lots of things you can add here. Pool, private entrance, right? Things that if you want to kind of check and see how they're doing in the market. But do keep in mind it is within the last 30 days. Okay. And it's showing here hot tub, not so desired, at least right now. I bet come summertime, that would flip flop. Okay. Then, kind of to round out the overall explanation, we've got policies and fees. So we show if they've got it listed here on Airbnb, their percent discount for weekly discounts. In this particular market, not a ton. Offer it, so 0, then 1 to 5, right? It gives you those ranges. Monthly discounts, okay, same thing. And just always read the description because it does say bookings in the last 30 days for these charts as well. There's monthly discounts, cleaning fees. People are always wondering, hey, should I charge a cleaning fee or not, right? So this can give you some data on that. Cancellation policies, looks like in this market, strict is most commonly used. But between firm and strict, the percentage of bookings are actually pretty similar. So, something to consider. Max number of guests gives you that breakdown. And then if they're charging extra person fees, you've got that breakdown as well. Okay. Then again, down here is where you can export the PDF. In this map section, I mentioned earlier, you could pick a big region if you want, and then use comp sets to kind of slice and dice the area. When you hover on the map, and if you're zoomed in and you want to say, hey, I want to look at this kind of northern section here of Vancouver and make a comp set specific to that area, you have options of doing like a box. So you can literally just kind of click and drag and select that box. Or let's give it a moment. But if you're not, like if a box isn't going to work for you, you could also use a lasso tool. And the lasso tool is kind of a click, hold, and drag, but you can kind of capture specific areas that you want, as opposed to just the box, right? If you don't need to do that and you just want to filter by other categories, then you can ignore that part of the training and you would just skip to this part. But assuming I'm looking at this particular geographic area, now I scroll down here and I start saying, okay, filter listings. And from here, I can easily say I want to look at 2 and 3 bedrooms. As I start entering data, the number of listings matching my criteria down here will just start to go down. So keep that in mind. Remember earlier I was talking about having as big a sample size as possible because it is publicly scraped data. This is where you can kind of monitor that. You might leave bathrooms open. If you really want to get into listing type, you could. Maybe you're like an RV type place or a tiny home, or you just kind of want to see some of those unique amenities and other unique amenities like yours in the area. Or you could just leave it open. Max guests, right? Star rating. Some people will say, hey, I don't want to be comparing like maybe lower performers. So these sliders can sometimes be a little difficult to get, but once you've got it selected and it kind of looks like it's lit up like that, you can use your arrow keys to get specific. So if I wanted a 4.5 and above, it looks like there are 754 listings matching that criteria, and maybe I want somebody that has at least 3 reviews, right? So they're maybe newish, but maybe not brand new. I'm just giving ideas. If you hover on any of these icons, it'll give you explanations of that metric. Um, you know, all these various toggles and sliders you can do. These various options. I'm not going to go through each one, but you've got them here. Let's say that's what I did. Here's all my filters up here. I'm going to apply filter. So now in that geographical area that I lassoed up here, it's pulling in these properties, and we show 10 at a time. There are 63. You could literally go through one at a time, open up their Airbnb link and say yes or no based on the pictures and descriptions that this is one that I want to include. Or you could just say, yes, check that box. And you could go one at a time, or you could say select all, and that will select all pages, or select page will just select the current page that you're on. And up here, it'll say generate comp set, and there are 625 in that when I clicked select all. You can now give it a name. Just do not put any symbols. You can't do 2 and 3 bedrooms or 2, 3 bedrooms. You have to write it out, 2 to 3 bedrooms, right? And if you click generate comp set, it will generate that comp set, and it'll be available up here. This little pop-up's just saying, apparently it's a big comp set. It's going to take some time to load, but once it's available, you can apply it in the drop down up there. So let's, while that's thinking, we do have an AI tool. This is experimental so far, but you could also, when you're to filter, you could just say, hey, like the example says, listings with more than 40% occupancy, and it'll filter this to show you listings with more than 40% occupancy. You just click show results. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So once you've created it, it'll be in this custom comp set area. Here's your name. I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to click apply filter. And now this will load. And now the whole report is showing just the data for those 625 listings, 2 to 3 bedrooms that I selected. Thanks so much for watching today. And if you have any other questions, stick around and we'll get those questions answered now. Thanks.